Do you feel uncomfortable about ultimately? I didn't see her sermon, but I don't know how. Uh-oh, controversy.
Unitarian Universalist Church, building community, inspiring growth, creating change. Here in the heart of Kansas City, we come together to create this hour of shared reflection so that we might be renewed in courage for these times and inspired to lives of greater dignity, higher purpose, deeper generosity, and more effective action. May the words and music and images that we offer today nourish our best selves, calling forth abundant wisdom and love, a love that has the power to overcome both loneliness in the heart and oppression in the world. Welcome to our service.
Arise, our souls, oh, arise.
Good morning. I'm Jane Gilbreth, a long-time member of this church. Whether you are here in the room or watching online, we're glad you're here. Your presence enriches all of us and our time together. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Our tradition is a large tent with room for many beliefs and approaches to the questions that matter. It is our values of inclusion, compassion, and justice that hold us together. We seek to build the beloved community, making room for everyone and creating a world where everyone's needs are met. You may be new here this morning. Welcome. We know that your first time in attending a church, you may want to keep a low profile and just check things out. That's great, and we're glad you're here. If you're excited to be here and want to let us know you are a visitor, we invite you to raise your hand at this time. Thank you for enriching all of us with your presence today. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. Following the service today, we begin our celebration of the holiday season with the first Yule Bach, hosted by our Board of Trustees. It will be held after the service in the Simpson House, which is across the parking lot. Visitors, please join us so we can get to know you while we celebrate the holiday season.
It is wonderful to be together this morning. And that includes those of you watching online right now or at some time in the future. We are together. I am the Reverend Erin Dajka Holley, the lead minister here at All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. I hope that your time with us this morning will provide you with that necessary respite from all that is hurried and worried in your life. These opening words are by Elena Westbrook. In a world ravaged by violence, by hatred, by conflicts that seem eternal and insoluble, sometimes the only thing we can do is be still for a moment, to remind ourselves what is real. The sun that rose this morning, the dirt under our feet, the air whispering in and out of our lungs. This hour, try just to be present in each moment as it unfolds. Your simple attention is what makes these moments holy.
Out of the darkness, light. Out of the light, warmth. Out of the warmth, joy. Out of the joy, togetherness. May this flame hold us for the time we are here with one another. Please stand as you're able and join in the affirmation of our covenant, and then remain standing as we join together in song. Together we affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our commitment to human fellowship means that we are called upon to be glad with those who rejoice and to weep with those who mourn. Thus, we set aside this time in our gathering to share with one another the joys and the concerns which are shaping our own lives. May the beauty and sweetness of these brief flowers remind us to hold one another in the bonds of sympathy, encouragement, and care. I will invite you forward in a moment to be able to briefly share what is on your heart, and remind you that if there is something you may want to share and not have spread on YouTube for all of eternity, we'll take a moment when most people have shared to turn off all of the YouTube cameras and the microphone so that you can share only with those people in this room. I invite anyone who would like to share a joy or a sorrow forward. I will take a moment as Brian makes his way down to place this flower thinking of our trans siblings, as the Supreme Court has argued this week about whether treating minors as having gender dysphoria is actually legal, and the sadness that an attorney could make an argument that maybe being able to not conform isn't a right. Brian?
Good morning, family. I'm Brian Doyle. I have a joy to share, not only being able to sing with this beautiful choir, but I'm also part of the Heartland Men's Chorus, and we've had our first 2 shows on Friday and Saturday. And we have one more show today at 3:30, and there are a few tickets left, so if you would like to go, please come and see us. It's at the Folly Theater. Now, what I'm going to share is, on Friday, we sing a song for Ad Astra, for former members that are lost, and our mission is very similar to the mission of this church. We accept you where you are. We have trans members. We love everyone. And we found out before performance yesterday that on Friday, someone had come to our performance, and when we sang this song, Let Me Listen, they decided not to kill themselves and to continue to fight. It was a trans youth, and it made me feel so proud to know that our mission is important, and I'm glad they're still with us, and I love you all.
I'm Don Dickey. Had a construction project at my house. I put in a new induction range top. And I did it with a great deal of trepidation, because once I start cutting holes in the countertop to fit the new one, the old one will never return. And I'm happy to say, with 10 times as many measurements, calculations as reasonably as necessary, the new one is in and it's working. And I cooked my first dish on it last night. I made carrots for dinner for 8 and didn't burn anything, and actually got a compliment at dinner.
I'm Julie Rollet. I have started attending services this summer, and I want to thank all of you and those who aren't here today for the warmth, the acceptance that I've experienced. Joining the choir has been an absolute joy and delight. And today, this is a moment of joy that I'm here with you, enjoying the warmth and support that you extend. Today would have been my 34th wedding anniversary. I was widowed a year and a half ago. I hesitated about singing, and then I said, no better way to honor Paul than to sing. And you guys are part of what makes that possible, so thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rita Gao. Thank you. And I have some joys to express. I was able to be with my brother, sister-in-law, and their family over Thanksgiving time up in the Twin Cities. They migrated over from Wisconsin, my home state, to the Twin Cities a few years ago, so I've been blessed to be able to be with them the last few Thanksgivings. And my second joy is that I'm joining the other part of my family in Wisconsin for Christmas, and I haven't been up there at Christmas time, I think, since around 1996, so my heart feels very joyful. Thank you.
I have a lot of joys, but I want to acknowledge one of the greatest joys in my life right now, which is my husband. I just have to say that in a world of a lot of toxic masculinity, I'm very fortunate to be with someone who stays home while I'm at work and nurtures our children and loves them and cares for them and is kind to me and is just so open-hearted and such a beautiful example of what I think a man can be in this world. So he is a huge joy to all of us in our family, and I'd love to acknowledge him today.
Morning, I'm Scott England. A lot of you may remember, last year was a pretty bad year, and so I have spent about the past year rattling around the house by myself. Well, as of 2 weeks ago, no longer. I have a new fur kid, a 1-year-old Frenchie, who has now become a core part of my life. So if you come to the Yule Bach afterwards, I have pictures.
I'm Henry Stover, and I wish to express the joy that Dave Min, M-I-N, our son-in-law, has won a U.S. House of Representatives seat as a Democrat from California. And we will be going out January the 3rd for his swearing in D.C. So thank you for all your concerns. He is very concerned about many of the issues that we share. In fact, my daughter and son-in-law both know the attorney, Chase Strange, that argued the case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court earlier this week. They were all students at Harvard Law School at the same time.
At this time, I will ask our amazing tech staff to disconnect us from YouTube. And this final flower for all of the outreachings of the Spirit that abide unspoken in our hearts. And now please read aloud with me our words of response written by Rebecca Parker. Even when our hearts are broken by our own failure or the failure of others cutting into our lives, even when we have done all we can and life is still broken, there is still a universal love that will never break broken faith with us and never will.
Hello again. I'm Scott England. I've been a member of this congregation for 26 years. So every day I get a little email from the UUA called the Daily, blanking on it. It's a little email that has a picture and has a quote or something to get you to think about some sort of concept. A couple weeks ago, there was one about kith and kin. Now, you may be familiar with that phrase, but you may not know what the heck does kith mean. Now, kin, most of us are aware, that's our family of birth, our relatives, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandparents, all that. Kith is an old word from Old English meaning friends, acquaintances, people you choose to spend your time in life with, or as some may say, your chosen family. There are those among us who don't spend time with their kin by choice or not, but they have kith. Y'all are part of my kith. You know, in the 26 years I've been coming here, you have seen some of the high points of my life and some of the lowest points of my life, but you've been there for me. And as part of my chosen family, also, even though I pledge on a monthly basis, when I'm here physically, I also choose to give to the offering as a way of confirming and celebrating this chosen family and beloved community. So even if you already have an automatic pledge, I invite you to think about this as part of your chosen family and to choose to put something in the offering basket as it goes by. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Please join with me in the dedication of our offering. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
What you missed that day you were absent from 4th grade. by Brad, Erin, Maudlin. Mrs. Nelson explained how to stand still and listen to the wind, how to find meaning in pumping gas, how peeling potatoes can be a form of prayer. She took questions on how not to feel lost in the dark. After lunch, she distributed worksheets that covered ways to remember your grandfather's voice. Then, the class discussed falling asleep without feeling you had forgotten to do something else, something important, and how to believe the house you woke in is your home. This prompted Mrs. Nelson to draw a chalkboard diagram detailing how to chant the Psalms during cigarette breaks, and how not to squirm for sound when your own thoughts are all you hear. Also, that you have enough. The English lesson was that I am is a complete sentence. And just before the afternoon bell, she made the math equation look easy, the one that proves that hundreds of questions and feeling cold and all those nights spent looking for whatever it was you lost and one person add up to something.
The following is a poem by Dr. Jan Richardson, an artist, writer, and ordained minister. She has attracted an international audience drawn to the spaces of welcome, imagination, and solace that she creates with her own words and her art. The following is her poem entitled, For Joy. You can prepare, but still, it will come to you by surprise, crossing through your doorway, calling your name in greeting, It will astonish you how wide your heart will open in welcome for the joy that finds you so ready and still so unprepared.
It's a disconnect. December. The world has slowed down. Animals are beginning hibernation, or a not quite but kind of hibernation. Birds have migrated. The fish have sunk deep below the surface of the water where it will not freeze. Trees have dropped their leaves, at least most of them. So the wind has become quieter when it blows through. There's nothing on the branches for it to rustle. And the days are short. So little sunlit time for the world to be active, except for the owls, still silently swooping down on their prey. The world tells our bodies to rest and to conserve energy, to stay warm, just as all of the soft-bodied creatures are doing, nestled up with blankets and warm beverages and dim lights that mirror the dimness of the daylight as the sun's arc drops so low in the southern sky. The temperature today may reach 60 degrees. And yet it is winter. We felt its deep chill earlier in the week, just as I felt its even deeper chill in Minnesota for Thanksgiving. Yet in this moment of winter, people are busier than ever. That's the disconnect. We are called through our bodies and the earth to be still and to reflect at this time of year. Yet there is so much pressure this month to make sure that we take care of everything. Present shopping, decorating, putting up or buying a tree, planning the parties, the meals, the activities, sending out cards, making sure the kids or grandkids get those pictures with Santa, deciding which parties to attend, which to send regrets, and then actually making it to the ones you said you'd go to. And somewhere along the lines, something planted this expectation within us: perfection. Not only must everything get done, but it's supposed to be perfect. Where is the space in all of this to do the deep reflection that the darkness calls us into? Where is the necessity to simply be? From our first reading by Erin this morning, the English lesson was that I am is a complete sentence. Need there truly be more? The 7 Unitarian Universalist principles that guided UUism from 1985 to 2024 listed as the first the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And from the UU values passed this year as a complete update of our defining language, under equity, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Essentially, our faith tells us, I am is enough. Take a deep breath and say within yourself, I am is enough. And another deep breath. I am enough. One more deep breath. I am. And sit with that for a moment. I am. It doesn't need anything else to be complete. And then a second later, your mind is spinning all of the reasons that it can't be true. Don't deny it. I know it's there, because it's there for me right now, even as I tell you that I am is a complete sentence. Even as I tell you that Unitarian Universalism asserts that you need not do more than exist to be worthy. It kind of feels impossible to believe. Because we have all been carefully taught that our worth lies in what we can create, what value we can contribute to the world, usually monetarily. We were taught that we aren't worthy unless we earned it. And the bar seems ever higher and higher, whether those expectations are from others or from within ourselves. That daily push to do everything, to let down none, to strive to be worthy, all while knowing it will never be enough. But we already are. I am is a complete sentence. Maybe this dissonance between the self-imposed and external expectations and the truth that we must do nothing but be is already familiar to you, just as your soft body knows that this season is for rest and reflection, not rushing about, doing. Maybe you have known that the doing for so long that you're worried what might happen should you stop. So you've allowed yourself to forget that you are worthy just as you are. You are enough. You are is a complete sentence too. I've been wrestling with this dynamic, particularly in the last week, having returned from 2 weeks of needed leave, but right into the busiest season for Unitarian Universalist ministers. This week I've been in a tizzy, feeling the overwhelm of just how much I must attend to on my own. At the same time, my calendar has been filled with very important meetings. There was a day this week when my spouse suggested, seeing that I was so overwhelmed, that maybe I should just skip anything I didn't need to attend. And then he heard me explain in precise detail how every single thing on my calendar was too important to miss. Yet that day, holding so much, I realized that I was feeling too alone about all of those challenging things. So I called a colleague. Yes, I could have been responding to emails, and my apologies to those I haven't gotten back to, but calling her allowed me to let go of the expectations and just breathe. And the sense of panic melted away, and I could attend to things and meanings more fully, having let go, even just for a phone call. Again, from Brad, Erin, Maudlin, Mrs. Nelson explained how to stand still and listen to the wind, how to find meaning in pumping gas, how peeling potatoes can be a form of prayer. And I think that this is where the bridge can exist. In that cognitive dissonance between doing and being, between rushing for the holidays and sitting with their messages. And this is the both and. Because we are human, we cognitively know that perfection is a fallacy. It does not exist, perfection, in any human ambition. What we chase after to find meaning through doing is like the cake in the video game Portal. The cake is a lie. No matter how much you jump through these puzzles and have to burn your companion cube, there is no cake at the end. No matter how hard we work, we cannot reach that goal that is out in the stars and intangible. Nor must we devote the entirety of our being to self-reflection and making meaning within ourselves. Mary Oliver reminds us, you do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. So stop. Not for hours or days or weeks, but for moments. Stop just long enough to listen to the wind. Just long enough to find meaning in pumping gas, which I get to do when I leave here today. Just long enough to turn peeling potatoes into a prayer. Notice. Experience. Breathe. I have a colleague, the Reverend Nancy Palmer Jones, who has a practice of noticing beauty every day. She takes pictures of it and her cat and posts them on Facebook in the evening or the next morning. It is everything that she noticed going about her day, the day that's filled with doing ministry. But here are the tiny sparks that connected her to the world. And I'm not telling you to take pictures or to engage in social media, but this is one simple way to pull yourself out of the grind and distraction and into the present moment. Any time you notice, really notice something around you, you are in the present moment. Lao Tzu wrote, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. And Thich Nhat Hanh tells us to use mindfulness, to remain in the moment, so that then we can become alive. We are free from the past. We are free from the future. And really, I think when Eastern philosophers and religious leaders like Lao Tzu of Taoism and Thich Nhat Hanh of Buddhism, when they create these stark and regimented perspectives, they do so in order for us to ponder them more deeply and then find the true wisdom. Lao Tzu wants you to wrestle with his words, to wonder about what feeds your depressive thoughts that may be from the past, to consider the root of the anxieties you have for the future, and to ponder what it might be like to be present in the present. There is the greater truth in examining ourselves and teasing out of our own experiences our meaning for how we are in the world. And I'm not telling you to live in the present all of the time. We do need to reflect on the past to inform us of the now, and only with considering what is to come can we make plans and attend to things to create the new presence that we desire. Presence in future times, not necessarily wrapped gifts, even though that might be a future present we desire this month. Instead, find ever more ways to live into that complete sentence. I am. pay attention to what is around you, and as something comes forth, be fully present to it. Give it your attention, all of it, and simply be with it, even just for a moment. You may know that I drink tea constantly. It's what's in my white reusable cup with the purple band, always knowing that it is tea. I don't even pay attention to what kind it is. I'll say to my spouse, oh, this is lovely. What is it? And he'll respond that it's a tea that we drink every day. It's nothing out of the ordinary. But I noticed it instead of merely drinking it. A few years ago, I was at an online ministers' retreat, and a colleague led a tea meditation. Each of us sitting in our own homes during the pandemic with our own cups of tea, as he told us to pick it up and notice the warmth through the cup. To breathe it in several times, not only enjoying its scent, but also bringing our awareness to our breath. To hold it in our mouths, to experience the subtle flavors, to swallow and sit with the warmth traveling through our bodies, ever so slowly, taking minutes for the full experience of the first sip, fully present to a cup of tea. It's kind of like peeling potatoes as an act of prayer. In some Jewish traditions, there are prayers for almost everything that you do in a day. Prayers for getting up, prayers for morning washing, prayers for preparing a meal, maybe even one that is specific to peeling potatoes. These prayers bring awareness and presence to all of these daily chores of life. They remind those who practice that God is present in every little thing and action. So throughout the day, they are closer to God, ever present. Those moments of simply being are indeed the ones of peace and wonderment and reverence. So the next step right now in the world as it is today, in the worries for those around us already affected by continual systems of oppression, and for those we fear will be further or newly affected by stronger, more explicit, crueler systems of oppression in the coming months, in knowing that our friends, that our church community feeds, slept outside in the bitter cold that we all felt last week, in watching authoritarianism bubble up in many places in the world, and the Middle East even less stable than it's been for the last year. In all of this, and the daily concerns of our hearts, and that we shared with the flowers this morning, there is one piece of noticing, of being present in the moment that I want you to pursue most of all. Joy. I worry that in feeling the responsibility to attend to the ills around us, to be aware of all that we must address, we may not believe that it is okay to feel joy. That the desire to remain humble by suffering ourselves in response to the knowledge of human suffering. But remember this, in the darkest of moments, people find beauty. In the worst circumstances, people find joy. Children play, flowers are tended, hearts connect. In the war-torn places, in the concentration camps, moments of joy are there. That is human survival. The moments of joy. This week for me, it was learning how to change settings on Zoom so that my image overlays a portion of a shared screen. It was something new, something fun, and what I call my autistic joy emerged with my hands waving and brightness on my face. I was still facing the rest of a long day and the feeling of overwhelm, but that moment of joy pulled me into the present and it buoyed me through. Just joy. So open your heart to the possibility that you will also encounter joy this month. It will come to you by surprise. It will astonish you. Just as you think you are ready, you are unprepared, for your heart will widen in that moment, in that tiny spark. Nothing else will matter except that brief, necessary, glowing moment of joy. Maybe your heart will accept, even as only a flash, what it means that I am is a complete sentence. May it be so, and amen. And I invite you to stand as you wish to join us in song number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. The verse that I wish we had sung was, "There is more joy right here." All right, let's sing it. There is more joy right here. There is more joy right here. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy right here. Thank you. We release this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. You don't need to do more. You don't need to be more. May you ever discover the spark of joy just beside you and know that I am is a complete sentence.